Good afternoon, everyone. Listen, this is Sunday, and once again, we are here gathered so that we are able to hear the mind and heart of God concerning you. I want to welcome you to Dr. Onika T International broadcast right here on Facebook and YouTube. Listen, let's go ahead and dive in to what we are discussing on today. I don't know about you. I woke up this morning with a very hard, a very tearful moment in my life this morning. I went to bed fine as I thought, but I woke up this morning uh, very frustrated, uh, felt a little depressed, a little oppressed, and I even cried a little. I called and I reached out to two individuals that I knew I could trust with what was going on with me. And talking with them, they began to relate some things to me. And even in what they related to me was true and good, but it still did not satisfy what was taking place. Did they miss it? No. Were they not listening? They listened. Were they there for me? Yes. But there comes a time in our lives when God has opened up new seasons, new doors, new opportunities that oftentimes we cannot recognize the new because we're still connected emotionally to dead seasons. And even though I called those two individuals, they could not speak to what I really wanted them to speak about concerning the deadness in my life. But they gave me language for where I am. And because there is some emotional attachment to the dead seasons, I could not hear and see God at that moment. But immediately after I hung up, I began to go into prayer. And I'm being transparent with you all on today because many of you are dealing with the same thing. And I understand as a prophet of God, I'm going to feel and walk through many things that people are dealing with. And this is why, as a prophetic type or prophet, you have to be so very careful to know if it's you or is it something that the body as a whole is dealing with so that you can properly speak to it. And I'm so glad that I had that moment in time because after prayer, I was able to hear God and hear what is needed to be said on today. And this is this. Isaiah, the 43rd chapter, verses 18 and 19 says, "Remember ye not the former things, neither consider the things of old. Behold, I will do a new thing." We're going to talk about emotional detachment from dead seasons. We want to use a subtitle, Why People Stay Emotionally Tied to What No Longer Gives Life, and how to break free with wisdom, healing, and boundaries. And we're going to build from Isaiah, the 43rd chapter, verses 18 and 19. And we have some other scriptures that we will discuss on today. And if you're taking notes, you just jot those down. But some people are not still connected because a season is alive. We're talking about emotional detachment from dead seasons. Some people are not still connected because a season is alive. They are still connected because something in them has not accepted that the season is over. A dead season in any place, relationship, role, pattern, environment, habit, expectation, or emotional attachment that no longer produces life, peace, fruit, clarity, or growth. It may have once been God ordained, meaningful, fruitful, or necessary, but now it has expired. The real struggle is not always the death of the season. The struggle is our emotional refusal to bury what no longer breathes. And over in Isaiah, the 43rd chapter, verses 18 and 19, God does not tell them the former thing did not matter. Hear me. He tells them not to remain mentally and emotionally imprisoned by it. You can be so focused on what was that you miss what is breaking open now. We have to remember that our mind often clings to familiar pain. Why? Because familiar pain feels safer than unfamiliar freedom. And the brain does not always choose what is healthiest. It often chooses what is most familiar. We can find this when we look at Lot's wife. She physically left Sodom, but emotionally she was still there. Her body moved, but her heart looked back. Can I tell you today, you can leave a season geographically, publicly, and verbally while still remaining attached to it emotionally. We can find this also with David. David refused Saul's armor. Why? Because what protected one man in one season would have suffocated another man in another assignment. Many people stay emotionally attached to dead seasons because they are trying to force old habits, old identities, and old emotional systems into a new season. Can I tell you, it will not work. We cannot put new wine into old wine skins. And can I tell you, dear beloved, with everything that's going on in the world right now, it seems as if it's over with. But can I tell you that you are in a new season? You are in a new skin. And if you do not eradicate the old emotional system in this new season, you will never live in the totality of what God has assigned for you in this next move. Naomi said, call me not Naomi, call me Mara. She was grieving in a dead season. Why? Because her sons had passed. Pain can rename you if you do not process it correctly. Dead seasons often leave emotional residue that tries to become your identity. My God. Dead seasons often leave emotional residue that tries to become your identity. And so this is why detachment from emotional systems are very vital. Remember the man at the pool of Bethesda? It's over in John, the 5th chapter, verses 1 to 8. He had been in that condition for how long? 38 years. And Jesus did what? He showed up and he asked him, he said, listen, will thou be made whole? Sometimes, can I tell you this? People remain attached to dead seasons because dysfunction became familiar, and familiar dysfunction became identity. Oh my God. Sometimes we remain attached to dead seasons because dysfunction became familiar, and familiar dysfunction became identity. Woo! My. John 15:2 says, in other words, we have to prune for fruitfulness. It says every branch that bears fruit, he prunes. Not everything cut off was evil. We make it bloody. Why does every situation, every separation has to be bloody? Not everything cut off is evil. Some things are removed because they cannot go with you in your next level of fruitfulness. They cannot go with you in your next level of fruitfulness. Woo! We remain emotionally attached, as I said earlier, to dead seasons because of unprocessed grief, misplaced identity, trauma bonds, hope addiction, fear of emptiness, and the comfort of familiarity. But God calls us to discern when a season has expired. Grieve it correctly, detach with wisdom, and establish boundaries so we do not keep resurrecting what he's already buried. Why? Why do we stay emotionally attached to dead seasons? Because history feels like destiny. Oh, help us today. Because history feels like destiny. People assume that because something was meaningful, it must remain permanent. Meaningful does not mean permanent residence. Ecclesiastes 3:1 tells us to everything there is what? A season. And just because it was good does not mean it is still God. Just because it helped you once does not mean it is supposed to hold you forever. This is a psychological moment. A lot of times humans form emotional attachments to memories, routines, people, and patterns because predictability regulates the nervous system. Even unhealthy patterns can feel safe when they are familiar. Let me give you an example. A person stays in a one-sided relationship because they keep replaying who the person used to be instead of accepting who they have become. Can we let that sit there? Because many of us are there right now, whether it's business, friendship, marriages. I have to say it. We stay in a one-sided relationship because we keep replaying who the person used to be instead of accepting who they have become. So, what do I do, you may ask, to have a solution for this? You have to train to judge a thing by present fruit and not past history. Matthew 7:16, I'm going to give you scripture when it says, ye shall know them by what? Their fruits. Why do people stay emotionally attached to dead season? Because of unprocessed grief. Sometimes attachment is really grief with no language. 2 Samuel 12, verse 20 and 23, David grieved, then arose, washed, worshiped, and moved forward. Healthy grief honors what was lost. Unhealthy attachment keeps trying to relive what is gone. When we do not grieve death properly, when grief is not processed, it can become an emotional looping. The mind begins to replay conversation after conversation, memory after memory, missed opportunities after missed opportunity, and false hope in an attempt to regain control. Can I give you some signs that this is what you're doing? You keep revisiting the disappointment. You feel stuck between acceptance and denial. You keep asking why instead of asking what now. Can I give you a solution to your problem? Grieve fully, but do not build your home in grief. Grieve fully, but do not build your home in grief. In other words, the next season of your life, don't you build it out of grief. Do not build off of grief. Grieve fully. Number 3, because identity got tied to the season. You did not just lose the season, you lost the version of you that existed in it. Judges the 6th chapter, verses 12 to 16. Gideon saw himself one way, but God called out what he really was. And a lot of times, that is how we see ourselves one-dimensional. And God is saying, no, there's so much I have for you. There's so much in you. There's so much to do. But because this dead season, you're still emotionally tied to, you can't see your importance. Many people remain attached because the dead season gave them identity. It gave them a role. It gave them security. It gave them importance. It gave them attention. It gave them validation. But when identity is externally anchored, loss feels like death of self. People stay attached to dead things because they do not know who they are without them. Who am I? I want you to think about this. Who am I if I'm no longer their helper, their rescuer, their support system, their option, their leader, their wife, their provider, their safe place? Who am I? Detach your identity from the thing that ended and reattach it to who God says you are. Y'all, 2 Corinthians, the 5th chapter, verse 17. Why do people stay emotionally tied? I'm still talking about why people stay emotionally tied to dead seasons. Because of hope addiction. Sometimes we are not attached to reality. We are attached to potential. Proverbs, the 13th chapter, verse 12. Y'all, I know this is heavy this morning. Hope deferred, or this afternoon, maketh the heart sick. People stay in dead seasons because they are in love with what could happen, not what is happening. Intermediate reinforcement creates strong attachment. When a person, environment, or pattern gives occasional reward, the brain keeps chasing the next reward. And that is why inconsistency could be more addictive than consistency. Can I give you a relatable example? You keep staying because every now and then they show effort. Say the right thing, cry, call, apologize, or give a glimpse of who you wish they would be. Stop making permanent decisions based on temporary flashes. Woo! 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 Whoa. Let's talk about how to overcome emotional attachment to dead seasons, because I just don't want to leave you there. Number one, you have to accept the truth without editing it. We like to edit stuff. John 8:32 says, ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Freedom starts when you stop romancing what is no longer alive. I want you to ask yourself this question. What is this producing in me right now? Does this thing bring me peace? Does it bring me fruit? Does it bring me clarity? Is it bringing me strength or dread? Am I staying because it's alive or because I'm afraid? I need for you to ask yourself those three things. I do. I need for you to take a moment and think about that. Am I staying because it's alive or because I'm afraid? Is it bringing me peace, fruit, clarity? Is it a liability or is it an asset? What is it producing in me right now? You need to ask yourself those three things and stop romanticizing what is no longer alive. How to overcome emotional attachment to dead season. Grieve what ended. Ecclesiastes 3:4 says, there's a time to weep and a time to laugh. Do not skip grief. Unfelt grief becomes hidden attachment. You need to write down on today, when you finish listening at this, or if you're watching a replay and you pause it and go back to it, however, but you need to write these things down. I want you to write down what you lost. Whether it's a person, whether it's an image, whether it's a role, an expectation, the future you thought you would have. And I want you to take those things as you write them down. And I want you to go in prayer. I need for you to surrender that to God in prayer and wait on a response. We're getting free today. I want you to do that so that your freedom can come forth. How to overcome emotional attachment to dead seasons? Renounce false responsibility. Many people stay attached because they feel responsible to fix, heal, carry, rescue, sustain what is not theirs to maintain. Galatians 6:5 says you are called to love people, not become their life support system. I need many of you right now to say this with me. I release what is not mine to carry. I refuse to bleed to keep dead things looking alive. Ooh, I refuse to bleed to keep dead things looking alive. We have to know and understand that kingdom thinking says this: if God ended it, He is not empty-handed. Because when you break agreement with scarcity thinking, you understand when Paul said, I'm moving forward and I'm forgetting. I'm moving forward and I'm forgetting. We have to begin to rebuild our life around truth and not emotion. Emotions are real, but they are not always reliable narrators. The Bible tells us, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. You have to begin to rebuild your life around truth and not emotion. Romans 12:2 tells us, be transformed by the renewing of our mind. Proper protocols and boundaries so you do not allow it again. Stop over investing before there's evidence of reciprocity. Scripture Amos 3:3 says, can two walk together except they be agreed? Do not pour deeply where there's no mutuality. We have to watch for boundaries. We have to watch patterns and not promises. We have to put proper protocols and boundaries so you do not allow it again. You have to establish fruit-based discernment. Scripture, Matthew 7:16. Boundary question. What fruit is this producing in my life? Peace or confusion? Strength or depletion? Clarity or anxiety? Growth or stagnation? Never ignore fruit because of sentiment, because it's dear to you. We can't ignore fruit because it's dear to our heart. We have to begin to create emotional pacing. If we're going to put proper protocols and boundaries so you do not allow this again, you have to create emotional pacing. Do not emotionally marry what has not proven it can steward your presence. You have to begin to slow down your emotional investment. Time reveals what charm conceals. I'll say it again. Time reveals what charm conceals. You have to stop making excuses for chronic inconsistency. Inconsistency is communication. Boundary. One difficult season is human. A repeated pattern is a revelation. Woo! My God, to thee. This has been an amazing moment. We have to grieve. First of all, let's go back. We have to recognize. We have to see it for what it is. We have to grieve, honor what ended without idolizing it. We have to release, break emotional agreement with it, And then we have to rebuild, create boundaries and rhythms that protect your next season. We talked about emotional detachment from dead seasons and why people stay emotionally tied to what no longer gives life. And we learn how to break free with wisdom, healing, and boundaries. I know that with what I went through this morning, God has given this to you and to all those that you will share this broadcast with, so that you don't miss your new season and your now season that you're in. As always, it has been a pleasure to be here with you all on this afternoon. It is an honor that you all are sitting, watching, sharing, and inviting those to hear what the Spirit of the Lord is saying to you. If this broadcast has touched you in any way, reach out to us. Our website is there. Also, if you would like to give, you can send it to our Zelle, which is admin at dronikat.com. Or you can Venmo the @ DRONIKAINTL. Let me make sure. Hold on. Let me make sure I gave you all the Venmo correctly. Yes, @ DRONIKAT. Or you can text the word give to 888-202-0687. And we thank you in advance for your liberal giving that helps us in what we have been mandated to do. Once again, this is your girl, Dr. Onika T. I look forward to hearing your thoughts, your views, your comments concerning this topic. And our information is there so that you can reach out to us. Listen, go and have a wonderful day. No longer are you attached to dead things, but you're now living in a new season. And not just living in it, but you're living in fullness, the newness of God. Until next time, we'll be back here this Tuesday for Transformation Tuesday at 6 p.m. Come and join us. If you're looking for a ministry to connect to, reach out to us. We are there. We are there and we are here. If you need any of our other services, just visit our website. It will tell you what we offer. And we'll see if we're able to assist you in your transformation. This is Dr. Onika T. Brown, sending you kingdom greetings all the way from the USA. And I am honored to be your prophetic and apostolic voice on today that has given you the wisdom, the language, and understanding of how to detach from a dead season. Take care.